Am I the a-hole for kicking my fiancé out after, joking, he got me pregnant on purpose? Trigger warnings: baby trapping, verbal/emotional abuse, coercive control, not allowing someone to leave. I have been with my fiancé, 26 male, for 3 years. We met whilst I was on holiday, and a few weeks after he followed me on Instagram, and the rest is history. We got engaged last year and a month later found out I was pregnant. We have a beautiful 6-month-old. We hosted Thanksgiving this year, and my fiancé was drinking quite heavily. And after dinner, me and my mum were talking about the wedding, which my parents are paying for. I overheard my fiancé tell my brother, who was just as drunk as him, that he needed to tie me down and get me pregnant before I realised what a dickhead he was. That made it all right that London evening turned into something quite special. They laughed it off, but it rubbed me the wrong way, because our baby was not planned. I wasn't ready for a child, and we were using condoms. But after a few instances where the condom broke, I decided it would be safer if I got on birth control. The first month on birth control I got pregnant. We were told that could happen, and he said he would pull out to be safe, but I still got pregnant. I was scared as F, but I personally didn't want to get a termination. I 100% believe in the right to get a termination. I just didn't want one, and so decided to keep the baby. I work for my dad's company and my fiancé works at a country club. Money wasn't necessarily why I didn't want a baby. I just wanted to do more before I started a family. I spoke to my fiancé about what he said, and at first he said he didn't remember saying it, which was believable because of how drunk he was. But then he said it was just a joke, and it was meant as a compliment because I'm so amazing. So I said, okay, good, because we're getting a prenup. I was just joking, but I also wanted to see how he reacted. And he was pissed. He said why the F would he sign a prenup, that we have a baby together, a house together, and that he would not sign one, how we wouldn't need one, because we're never separating, and that me mentioning a prenup is insulting and emasculating. I never felt threatened or anything like that, but he did make me uncomfortable. And he woke our baby up, so I told him to leave, which he did. The day after I kicked him out, he sent me a long apologetic message about how it was out of character for him to get loud, which it was. He's never acted like that before. And I replied saying I appreciate the apology, but I still just need a day or two to think everything through. The next day, he sent a bouquet to the apartment. Sunday, he sent me a booking confirmation of a massage he booked for me at the club and offered to come over to watch our son and cook dinner. Tonight, he sent me a message saying that I'm being an a-hole and that I'm taking a meaningless joke to heart and that he's wasting money he could be saving for the wedding on the hotel. But now things that went over my head before, I'm starting to think is sus. But breaking up my family over this doesn't seem right. Am I overthinking this, / being an a-hole? Some of OP's comments. Commenter: if you have a house together, why is he sending flowers to the apartment? Oh, well, I didn't know this. Wow. I never even considered him doing anything like that. I take them like clockwork, so it definitely wasn't that I missed a day or anything like that. Commenter: I haven't seen it said yet, but you mentioned having 2 trust funds, one that you got when you were 18. Does he know this? Think about it. If you don't have a prenup, he'll have access to that trust fund. Don't be naive. And the condom. Come on! He totally baby-trapped you. Wake up. OP. Yeah. He knows about the trust fund. He was at my brother's 18th, where my dad said to him not to spend all his money at once, and he asked if all the siblings got one, which we did. Update: A lot of people were asking for context when I said I wanted a prenup. At the time, I wasn't being serious. Maybe I was being an a-hole trying to get a reaction. But based on the 3 years we've been together, I would have never imagined he'd react the way he did. Why did the joke bother me so much? About a year ago, he lost his job. He was never really clear why. For the next 3 to 4 months, he didn't really do much. He said he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do next. And that was the first time he brought up having kids. Indicating that he was ready, we had a candid conversation on my part about how I want kids, just not anytime soon. I enjoy my job. I had trips planned and I wanted to be married first. He agreed with me that we should wait 3 to 4 years. My dad's company got a contract at the club, which is how he got his job there, but during the time he was out of work, my girls would joke that he's a stay-at-home boyfriend and that I'm the provider and he'd be a stay-at-home dad, because I was paying the bills/rent by myself, which at the time didn't bother me. I used to live there by myself before we got together, so it wasn't a big deal. But I guess it was them that first made me question. To be honest, I don't know how long the condoms were breaking. A lot of people are saying they've never had them break, and I can't say I remember it ever happening before. I noticed the first time that it looked like it had split, and then I checked it the next time. That was also broken, which is when I decided to get an IUD. Which he didn't want me to, but I stood my ground and we compromised and I got on the pill. I know we should have continued using condoms, but he said he'd ran out and that I'm on the pill and don't need them. In hindsight, yes, I should have insisted we still used them, but I choose not to have that battle. I thought we'd be okay. He knew my opinion on terminations and that I wouldn't get one. If I got pregnant, I would raise the baby unless it was for a medical reason. Money-wise, my family's successful. I work for my dad's company. I have 2 trust funds, one of which I got at 18. Before I fell pregnant, I was making plans to start my own house-flipping business, but I decided to put that on hold. I still work from home on flexible hours, but he's said once we're married he wants me to stop working so I can focus on our kids, and that he'll support us. But I've never really liked that idea. Mainly because, although I've never had to worry about money, my parents always taught us the importance of financial stability, and my mum's always said to never be financially dependent on anyone. Plus, my fiancé's current salary, I'm not sure would cover all of our expenses. The only reason why I haven't told my dad is because they have a good relationship, and I don't want to blow everything up over an overreaction on my part. OPs. Comments. Commenter. Don't you think there was a reason he didn't want you to get an IUD? He can't tamper with that, but he did with the latex. OP. He sent me a few things where people IUDs went wrong, and yeah, I probably should have gone with my gut, but he convinced me the pill would be the best option. But I did speak to my mum, because he's come back home, commenter. The real problem is him not supporting your career. He should be supporting your business and your job, not making you be a stay-at-home housewife. That's ridiculous. Yes, mothers with young children can still start businesses, but they have to be appropriately supported. Can you say he can give you that support? Pashuv, probably not. He's been quite blunt in that he doesn't think I could do both effectively. And after our son was born, he said he didn't want a large age gap between kids. Update 2. I, 23, female, made a post last week about a joke my fiancé, 26, made at Thanksgiving while drunk, to everyone that hasn't seen my older post. He joked that he got me pregnant to tie me down, and I didn't know what to make of it, so I posted on here to get outside opinions. I didn't want to initially talk to my friends or family about it, because they're all quite close to him, and I didn't want to make a mountain out of a molehill and cause drifts in their relationships. Yesterday, we had a conversation about where I was at, but he said he couldn't go back to the hotel because they kicked him out for smoking in the room. He stopped smoking while I was pregnant, but he said I was stressing him out, so he had to stay at the apartment. While I was on the phone to one of my girls in the bedroom, he came in and took the phone off me and told me to come and eat. While we was eating, he said that he understood what I said and that things need to change for us to move forward. He then proceeded to list all the things I needed to do to make things better. His tone, the whole conversation, was just making me uneasy. I texted my dad saying that he was making me uncomfortable when he wasn't looking. I went to check on the baby, and when I came back I saw him take my keys out my purse, but didn't say anything. He took my silence as agreement to everything he said and went to bed, instead of the couch like we had agreed. Like everything was normal. I stayed in the living room and my dad, bless him, drove 6 hours to come and get us. My dad got to the apartment around 5 this morning while my fiancé was still sleeping, and we left. Me and my son are at my parents' house now. My fiancé's been blowing up my phone since this morning. I sent a text to him as we were driving off saying he wasn't respecting the fact that I needed space and time to just figure everything out. So he could stay in the apartment and I'll stay at my parents'. We haven't officially broken up or called the wedding off. My parents who've paid for it have said that they don't care if I want to call it off, but I feel bad. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who replied to my original post and private messaged me. I didn't think people would care about me. I feel like every option I have is bad. The thought of being a single mum is scary. If my fiancé's behaviour gets worse, that would be shit. If we cancel the wedding and cost my parents thousands of dollars, I'll feel guilty. And if we break up altogether, we just got a house together, we're both on the mortgage, our joint accounts, and I've been with him since I was 19. Being without him for good is also scary. OP's comments. Commenter. This guy is bad news. Got you pregnant, laid down the law, and hid your car keys. Don't feel bad about your parents being out of money for what they have spent. From what you told us about his latest stunt and your friend's commentary about him, trust us, they are pleased as punch that he finally revealed himself to you in terms that you can't ignore. McBride discerns. I'm guessing they have been biting their tongues, but despite their angst at your choice, chose to respect it and support it. After we had left Princeton, well, I was back on living on London when I left for a park. I was getting too serious too fast, or how he moved into my apartment, but then I got pregnant, so they didn't want to seem unsupportive. Commenter, OP, listen to this. 1. Condoms kept breaking. That so rarely happens that it happening more than once is super sus. Yes, you agreed to go ahead without, but on that score alone I'd leave. He couldn't hold out for 1 month. 4. You got pregnant during that first month. 5. When you confronted him about his joke and joked back, he lost his shit and scared you. 6. He disrespected your boundary. He couldn't smoke outside. That was the only hotel in the entire region. He has no friends whose couch he can sleep on. Level 10. OP, how many red flags do you need? Do not go back to him. That's why he got you pregnant in the first place, so you wouldn't leave him. Leave him. Hey, he took my phone to get me off the call. I didn't expect him to literally come and take it out my hand. He gave it back when I came out the room. He just did it to get my attention. As a separate comment, I left with none of my stuff, only essentials for my son. I will have to go back, but my dad said he and my brother will go today. Commenter, heyo, if you feel guilty about your parents having paid for stuff, cancel what you can and have a good riddance. Party with your friends and family with what you can't cancel. Oh? P, my mum's been cancelling things from this morning. The wedding's off. Commenter, your head is probably spinning from everything, so sorry you're going through this. What's happening to you is called betrayal trauma. It's easy for women to start to tune out our instincts, but this is a lesson on how real your instincts are. Thank God you realised before you married him. He let the mask slip off too much. But from an outsider's perspective, it's clear this was just the start. It takes the average women 7 times to leave an abusive relationship because we get sucked back in by promises and small sample data of changes. Be strong, get a therapist, lean on your community, and heal. If you go back, he can start displaying more desperate behaviour, like what you saw with the keys, and it can get dangerous very fast. He saw you as his life raft, and now his life has capsized. OP. Heavy on the lean on my community. I had the first honest and open conversation with my mum for the first time in a long time. And I feel so different and so much better. My head was a mess, and Reddit probably wasn't the best place to talk about it, but it's anonymous, and it felt good to get it out.